Have you ever seen innocent children playing in the rain? The sounds they make while they laugh are what we can safely call sounds of happiness. Do you ever find yourself wondering where your inner child has gone? You may think it has wandered off somewhere never to return, isn't it? But he is very much there, waiting to break off the chains of imprisonment you have put on it. Innocence is the source of love. The loss of innocence can happen at any time of life, but it is most commonly associated with the lessons of life that accompany growing up. Moving from childhood into adulthood is fraught with many moments, big and small, that show us the world and ourselves in a new way. In this video, you are going to learn how attitude and people change over the years and become false and untrustworthy. It's all about the poem Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara. It's about the falsity connected behind smiles, absence of genuine appreciation concealed by a facade of hypocrisy, and the longing of an adult for the innocence of childhood. Before we learn the summary of the poem Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara, let's see a short description of the poet. Gabriel Okara was a Nigerian poet who was born on 24th April 1921 in Yenagoa, Nigeria. He was educated at Government College Amaya and later at Yaba Higher College. The verse of this Nigerian poet has been translated into several languages. His poem, The Call of the River Nun, won the Best Award for Literature at the Nigerian Festival of Arts in 1953. Some of his poems were published in the influential periodical Black Orpheus, and by 1960, he established himself as an accomplished writer. He was honored with the Commonwealth Poetry Award. Okara's typical poem transits from everyday reality to moments of delight and moves back to reality, making a complete circle. Okara influenced American thought, folklore, and imagery into both his verse and prose. This Nigerian literary icon died on 25th March 2019 at the age of 97 and was buried in Yenagoa. His first novel, The Voice, is an outstanding linguistic experiment. His later works include a collection of poems, The Fisherman's Invocation, You Laughed and Laughed and Laughed, The Piano and Drums, The Dreamer, His Vision, and two books for children, Little Snake and Little Frog, and An Adventure to Juju Island. And Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara, is a free verse poem that focuses on a father's attitude to culture change and time past before the incoming Western culture affected the native African way of life. And in this poem, the man addresses the son, telling him in a rather nostalgic manner how things used to be. The poem progresses, revealing more of the negative changes that have occurred during the father's lifetime. The theme of the poem is how society changes, culture shift, capitalism, and values. Perhaps the tone is ironic. Perhaps the speaker knows deep inside that he will never regain that purity. He won't be able to turn back time and relive life as a transformed person. That's why the title could be from a fairy tale. In the poem Once Upon a Time, the speaker's wishes are a fantasy. Now let's move on to learn the summary. The poem Once Upon a Time is a conversation between a father and his son, where son does things with emotion, and the father wants to forget his fake personality and relearn and create real personalities from his son. He asks his son to show him how to express true love and show real personality to others. In stanza 1, the author mentions that people used to laugh with their heart. They used to laugh with their emotions. When they would laugh, they would do it wholeheartedly and with warmth. And they used to laugh with their eyes and show pleasure with them. But now, they do it only with their teeth, not with their heart. That means They do not really want to laugh, but do it just to get closer. He describes this point using a beautiful phrase, ice block cold eyes. The usage of ice block cold eyes in this stanza emphasizes the coldness and the inner hatred they have for us, and it is like they can freeze water with their gaze. In the second stanza, he further talks about the personalities of the people of the past. He says they used to shake with their hearts. And here the poet is trying to say that when the people would meet each other, they will shake their hands with pleasure and with warmth and do it willingly, while their left hands search the empty pockets. He warns his son that people are not trustworthy and have become so selfish that they are concerned only about their own personal benefits. This also shows that the people's personalities are not real and true. In stanza 3, the poet talks about those people who ask us to come again and say, feel at home. We too will go there once or twice, but the third time they will not let us in thinking that we are a pest and they do not want to see us anymore. The words feel at home is used for when we want a guest to feel welcomed. But here the poet mentions that he finds the doors shut on him. This shows that they do not even open the door to tell him that he is not wanted. Instead, they leave the door closed, keeping him standing outside. That means people utter words of welcome and exchange pleasantries, but those words come only from the tip of their tongues and not from the depth of their hearts. In stanza 4, he talks about how humans have learnt the art of changing their facial expressions according to the situations merely to ensure social acceptance. They wear masks and exhibit multiple faces. He admits that he has also learned to put on faces like how outfits and masks are put on at different times and with different people and act differently. For example, in the office, we act in one way to a person, but when we meet them on the street, we act another way to them, and how all faces that people have on different occasions. He also mentions that all the people have the same smile all the time, not showing any true emotion. The poet starts off stanza 5 by signifying that he also has adapted to the environment around him, and that he has also picked up the bad habits that are hovering around him by saying, "And I have learned too." He demonstrates that now he has also learned how to say goodbye in a nice way and not mean it in a good way at all, as he says when he means good riddance. He says glad to meet you without being pleased, as he says after being bored, which indicates that it was boring meeting the person. However, he put on a smiley and cheerful face whilst talking to him. He sums up telling he is emotionally detached from other people, and he explains how the environment has destroyed his passion and made his heart unfeeling. In stanza 6, he concludes it all saying that he does not like what he has become, and he wants to be like he used to be when he was like a child, so small and innocent. Here he describes his desperation to go back to his old and innocent ways, where he felt life was simple and his emotions were honest emotions. He compares his laugh like that of a snake's fangs that shows only the teeth. This point gives a clear picture to the readers that he is not happy and satisfied with himself. He really means that he does not like his fake personality. The lines, "I want to unlearn all these muting things, I want to relearn how to laugh," describe his desperation to go back to his old and innocent ways, where he felt life was simple and his emotions were honest emotions. In the last stanza, the father pleads to his son to show him how to laugh and smile like he did when he was a child. The poet uses this poem to convey his feelings about the loss of traditional African culture against Western influences. The overall theme of this poem is about happier times gone past and hopes for a happy ending, for which the writer longs for, as in a fairy tale, and therefore the use of Once Upon a Time as the title of this poem.